Hello my friends, and welcome back to another video where today we have some interesting updates surrounding the filming of The Lord of the Rings of Power, where we now have an update coming in from Tenerife where filming has begun in Tenerife for The Rings of Power Season 2, and specifically at Tahiti National Park. Sorry if I've mispronounced that location. So yes, in the last days we have heard and been given this news by the locals around and in Tenerife, which is of course in Spain but quite close to Africa as well. And there were some comments by some of the Amazon CEOs a few months ago saying that they could explore filming in Europe, and now that possibility has become a reality. And there's a few things that we can discuss and take from this, and we will go through that in a second. But firstly, especially today and yesterday, a lot of the locals and fans around Tenerife, and this particular location they are filming in is quite a well-known filming location, so it looks like secrecy was going to be quite hard to achieve here. But we do have some interesting videos and photos, and one of the first things I think we should report, which actually firstly came from an unconfirmed report on Reddit at the time, as you can see on screen, that the stranger who seems could have potentially been on these sets. And then, because he even described this character that he saw as wearing fishnets. Furthermore, we do have some interesting photos and videos, for example this one, which shows just a wide pan of the filming area and location, and it seems like there's quite a large, also sort of like actor double there, which could potentially be for the stranger, which is another interesting thing. Alongside this video and photos, which we have gotten high res, which was quite close up towards these actors. And one thing is, they are wearing these green robes in some of the photos and footage you are seeing on screen. There is a lot of green robes. This does not mean potentially that this is part of their costume. This could just be to hide the actors from the public, and so photos like these cannot be taken. So that is really around that. Of course, that could still potentially be wrong, but as of right now, that is unlikely that this is part of their final costume. But still, you can sort of see almost a beard or the raggedy hair of the stranger in this photo. So it looks like filming is underway in Tenerife, and if the stranger is there, it wouldn't be surprised if the person sitting down in this chair is potentially Markella Kavanagh, who plays Nori Brandybuck and or Brandyfoot, sorry. And then also this other picture, as you can see as well, shows the two of them walking presumably to their set location. Now, first of all, the exciting thing is we are finally seeing filming in Europe for our Lord of the Rings projects. Whether of course you like the Rings of Power or not, it's still, I personally think it's nice to see a different location of visual medium than just of course New Zealand or England. For example, it's nice to see a variety, and yes, we have some pictures on screen right now, some of the images in and around Tenerife. It is of course an island on the coast of Spain, and it is really beautiful. And we actually have also pictures of the specific location, which is Tahiti National Park, on screen right now, and also that's thanks to Daily Rings of Power, who did specifically found the location that they were filming at. So that is quite interesting. And of course, the main conclusion here is, are we seeing Rune? So for those of you who don't know, all the way back to the synopsis from a few years ago, which got released, we knew that we were exploring the furthest reaches of the map, and Rune, predominantly in Tolkien's works, is known as the furthest areas or parts of Middle-earth that we know of. That region, Harad, Rune, Umbar, all that southern eastern area. So it looks like we could potentially be seeing Rune, and our first look at this almost before seen in a way, because with the Lord of the Rings, we've got, of course, lovely, beautiful elven cities. We've seen Frodwaith with all the snow there, etc. But this is a brand new terrain. This is a brand new environment for Middle-earth adaptations. So that is quite an interesting aspect around that. And So which plotline could we be seeing here then? So in the Unfinished Tales, which we don't know whether Amazon has access to or not, we know that at some point the Blue Wizards migrate, or they are sent east in order to stop Sauron's uprising, which is happening. For example, we later find out about Kamul the Easterling King. But also interestingly, Saruman is said to have also followed them later on, so who knows how that all plays into all this here. But mainly, are we seeing Nori and the stranger traveling to Rune, and maybe potentially if this stranger is one of the Blue Wizards, maybe he's going to be meeting the other Blue Wizard, or maybe whether this stranger is Gandalf or Saruman, is he then going to be visiting or meeting the Blue Wizards for the first time? Nevertheless, I think it's safe to say that we are going to be meeting new characters here. As an aside, another nice thing about Tenerife is that there is actually a connection with Tolkien himself, thanks to Tim Bolton on Twitter, and actually via John Garth through his book The Worlds of J.R.R. Tolkien. Apparently, Tolkien went on a boat called the Gilf, I'm sorry again for the mispronunciation, and he actually spent a day in Tenerife, so which is interesting to see that as well. But now actually looking at the location itself as it is on screen, it is and seems quite, you could say the word Mediterranean, but you know, dry, vast, almost like don't say barren, because some originally when looking at these photos thought maybe this could be Mordor, but it looks like, yes, it's saturated in a way, and I think that is a fair representation of what Rune would have been like. So it would be interesting to see how that translates on screen, and a lot of these shots may potentially just be wide shots of Rune, and maybe more of the character scenes probably will happen maybe in the studio or something, but at least maybe they're trying to get those cinematic shots here from what it looks like. So basically, we now know that The Rings of Power is filming in Spain, Tenerife. Let us know how you're feeling about that, and what potential stories you think we could be getting from this. For me, it'd be interesting to see if we see Rune, if we see a whole new settlements, you know, see all these characters, maybe even get some backstory on whatever those almost witch-like characters were in season 1. I forgot their name, but I'll put one on screen to show what I'm trying to say. So hopefully we can maybe get some backstory from there, but interesting to see that Nori and the Stranger's journey will be continuing into Rune. Next up, we do have a small update as to the release of the potential Lord of the Rings Warner Brothers movies, which comes from Variety, titled Warner Brothers Discovery CFO on Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings franchises, quote, "We're only just starting to expand." And mainly this article gives an interesting update on how long it will take for us to get new Middle-earth Lord of the Rings films. The article says, as for when we are going to get the new Lord of the Rings films, which Warner Bros. Announced during its recent fourth quarter earnings call, Weidenfeld was evasive but hopeful. Quote, "David made a promise, quote unquote, very early on to revitalize some of that iconic tentpole IP, and we're starting to make progress," the CFO said. "It's exciting to see how people are coming in and out, and how the creative community is embracing this opportunity to work with us. That's going to bear fruit over time." And for that last part, people are coming in and out, praising it. One example is Andy Serkis, who did talk about if Peter Jackson does come back, he is also involved. But to me, overall, it seems like these movies are still quite far off, and I think the fact says there was evasive but hopeful. I do still think we could potentially see these movies, but I don't think it's in the short-term plans at the minute. And whether we get an announcement of any film pitches or anything within the next year would be a blessing, but it's looking like, you know, Harry Potter's doing quite well for them. Of course, DC is still their main idea, so it looks like this is just something that is going to be there, but we're just going to have to wait and see on how that develops at Warner Brothers. But I think that's about it, covering all the latest news, Rings of Power and Lord of the Rings related. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and until the next video, my friends, goodbye.